The sacred is revealed in the ordinary. There is a beauty in this. But how do we discover the mystery of the sacred in our seemingly mundane existence? Welcome to Revealed, a podcast sponsored by Resurrection Catholic Parish in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Let's join our hosts, Katie McAllister and Tony Pickler, as they explore the lives of people, organizations, and resources that will help us delve into the sacredness of the ordinary.
Welcome to a special edition of Revealed. I'm Mayim.
And I'm Ken.
Just kidding. No, I'm Katie.
And I'm Tony.
And we have a very special guest. If you have been following the buzz around Green Bay, we have a super special guest that has lit this town on fire. Tony, why don't you introduce our guest?
I am so privileged to be able to introduce to you the latest, greatest contestant on Jeopardy, Ben Chan from St. Norbert College. So, Ben, welcome to Revealed.
Thanks for having me, Tony and Katie. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward. I think I told Tony when he reached out that, there are a lot of things that I've been able to talk about Jeopardy, but I was looking forward to talking about some of the the deeper aspects of my experience with Jeopardy that I haven't been able to talk about elsewhere.
Yeah, we are so excited to hear it.
And I know that you're a philosophy professor, so hopefully we're able to go deep enough for you.
Don't go too deep because, I think I barely passed philosophy at St. Norbert, so...
And I've also worked with you a bit at Foundations Health and Wholeness on the board, and then I'm also with Ethics in Action Award breakfast that we've been a part of, you and I, over the last few years. So beyond all of that, though, Ben, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I just finished up my 10th year at St. Norbert College. It's hard to believe. Before that, I was at Lawrence University for a couple of years down in Appleton, and that's actually what led me to Wisconsin. I fell in love with the area, and now I'm here. I grew up in New York City, went to college in suburban Philadelphia, grad school in Los Angeles, actually another postdoc in Washington, D.C., and now Wisconsin's my forever home, which we use with our adopted dogs looking for our forever home. So Wisconsin is my forever home now.
Awesome.
We're lucky.
So we thought for just a little fun, we would give you 6 topics and ask what amount you'd like to wager,
sure.
And then and pick one of these topics. So the first is philosophy of life. Second, your life is in jeopardy. Third is putt-putt golf. The fourth is earning your way to heaven. Fifth is PhD is for me. And the last is Bazooka Ben.
I guess I would go with putt-putt golf for 1,000.
This is the golf course that we met on.
Oh, this is a tough one. I've been to a lot of golf courses in the area. What is Village Green?
No, which is actually funny because that's in my area. The answer is Ledgeview. When we were filming a Caddyshack spoof.
And here's where your run ends, Ben.
Yes, you were done.
No, seriously, there's a lot that we could ask you in all of those areas, but you do like to golf, right?
Yeah, but the Jeopardy has cut into my golf time, which is probably a good thing.
Okay. All right. And I do have to ask a couple other follow-up questions on some of the topics. So, Bazooka Ben, I read somewhere that you are going to be throwing out the first pitch
I'll
at
be
Timber Rattlers game?
throwing out the first pitch Saturday at the Timber Rattlers game. But the more exciting thing about the trip is that in the email I said, wait, what about the Bratzuka? I love the Bratzuka. And they were kind enough to offer to let me shoot the Bratzuka.
Nice. So that's what I had in mind for that. And then just in terms of philosophy, I mean, what topics do you teach at St. Norbert College? And we'll get onto Jeopardy here in a minute, but, what are your favorite, your passionate areas of philosophy?
Yeah, so my specialty is in ethics and in biomedical ethics in specific. But, maybe half of my teaching every year, maybe 3 out of the 6 courses, maybe 4 out of the 6 courses, is the Philosophy of Human Nature course, which is our Introduction to Philosophy course where we get to cover everything in philosophy. And that's kind of my favorite, actually, to be able to get first-year students in college, many of whom who haven't had any kind of philosophy course. And as I say, I tell them on the first day, my job is not to teach you what to think, but how to think by questioning a lot about what we take for granted about what we are. Right. So I think it's an eye-opening course for them and actually for me too. Yeah.
So if you could just like a real layman's term of what is philosophy, because we throw that word out there, but what truly is philosophy?
Yeah, I think my favorite short quote on this is, it's funny. It's like Jeopardy has pushed things, forgetting who actually said this. It's like, what's my name again? So the quote goes, philosophy is about how things, in the broadest possible sense of the term, hang together in the broadest possible sense of the term, which is basically to say, I think philosophy is about how everything fits together. Right? So I think that's why I got into philosophy as a student. Was I studied a lot of different things. I went to a liberal arts college, and I was interested in a lot of different topics, but philosophy seemed to me the one that was most resistant to narrow specialization. And, as a kid, I kind of wanted to know everything, right? This is why Jeopardy is a good fit for me. And so I thought that's I think what drew me to philosophy too.
Which is kind of a really interesting kind of a segue here to Jeopardy in terms of, because of the broadness of philosophy, do you feel like that background has prepared you for success on the show?
Yeah, I think so, right? I think Ken Jennings was quoting somebody else, actually, but he said the best preparation for Jeopardy is a lifetime of paying attention. There's something a bit ironic about how Jeopardy works, which is it's not the kind of attention that I'd like to be playing in my life, right? In terms of how focused you have to be during the game. But yeah, it's been something when I encounter something new that I don't know much about, my instinct is to try to find out as much about it as I can, which is actually, this goes back to golf, right? Golf is one of these activities where you can get deep in the weeds. Right?
Literally with my game.
Exactly. Right? And so, yeah, I think I just like to find out as much about things as I can.
I love that whole philosophy of paying attention, because, that's kind of what this podcast is all about, paying attention to the sacred in the ordinary, which we'll get to. But, yeah, it's kind of an interesting philosophy of life in the sense is how best do we pay attention to what's going on around us, either on the golf course, in a classroom, or on a Jeopardy set.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that there are so many different ways of paying attention, right? I think if I kind of know this because I've got, as my wife will tell you, when I get into something, I get very into it. So I've been very into woodworking, I've been very into golf, I'm very into Jeopardy currently. But those things are all very different ways of paying attention to the world, right? And so, when I was into woodworking, right, suddenly, if I had walked into, Resurrection Parish, I'd be super attentive to every piece of furniture, right, every molding, and be thinking about, how was this thing put together, right? Now I'm thinking, I did none of that when I walked in today, right? Whereas, when I'm in Jeopardy mode, whenever somebody, if some new name pops up on NPR and I don't know about them, I'll immediately go to Google and try to find out as much about them as I can. So I think it's interesting to think about the different ways we can pay attention and how different human activities, get us into different modes of paying attention.
So why did you decide to try out for Jeopardy? And what was the process?
Yeah, so I think it was accidental, like a lot of things. I'd actually not daily Jeopardy viewer until I got the call to be on. Then I was a daily Jeopardy viewer to prepare.
You're now a fan.
Yeah. So I was watching, I think, last spring, and they advertised for this online anytime test, which I encourage people to take. And I thought, all right, I watched the game, and I was playing along, and I was doing well, so I figured I'd take it.
Like, do you do with me where I'm yelling at the TV, like I know the answer, and then I feel so smart?
Yeah, I'm, as my wife can tell you, like I think I'm a pretty gracious competitor on TV, but at home, I'm talking a lot of trash to competitors. Like, come on, guys.
This is the real behind the scenes story right now.
Yeah, so I took the test, and then in the intervening period, actually, I went to a conference in honor, actually, of one of my best friends who had passed away, and one of my friends there who I went to grad school with introduced me to this online trivia league, which you have to join by invitation, and he's like, I think you're pretty good at it, you should join, and I joined, and I thought, I'm pretty good at this. I should probably really try to get on Jeopardy, and after that, I actually got an audition, and I had thought about being on Jeopardy probably my whole life, but I didn't actually really strongly desire it until that was June, I think, when this conference was. And then from the time I strongly desired it and started doing things to try to make it happen, it all of a sudden happened. It's strange just because this is a case where it's very much not in your control. Right? There are thousands of qualified people who are trying to get on, and it takes a lot of luck, right, to get on. But it
takes a little luck that you get the right categories too.
Yeah. So, this is something that I've been thinking about because I have a very successful run going. And, I played this one competitor, Hannah Wilson, who's very good. And that was by far sort of my most dominant win. But if you look kind of behind the statistics, I got lucky. I was very fast on the buzzer, just in a way that is not sustainable. And also, I had a sports category in the first round, which Hannah doesn't follow sports, I do, right? And so if things had just gone a little differently, my story would be completely different. Right?
Yeah, interesting. And you had played some trivia around here, though, as well, right? And in bars and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that part of the story? About
I was going to say, I think there was the Aaron Rodgers story.
It's funny things I actually don't like. I like trivia. I like bars. I actually generally don't like mixing the two things together. But our friend, I think you might know him, Reg Kim, he was at the college for a while, and he went to Berkeley as an undergrad, and as it happened, he had a common friend with Aaron Rodgers. And so that's actually what brought Aaron Rodgers to bar trivia, was that Reg, who was hosting bar trivia, and Aaron had a common friend. And so that it all kind of fell into place there.
And what bar was that?
That was at St. Brendan's.
Oh, St. Brendan's. Okay.
That same trivia crew now does trivia at Zambaldi.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, talk us through a little bit of the process of once you found out that you were going to be on, what was the process to actually get out to LA, and just what surprised you about all of that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of studying involved, so you can look online and see what you should be studying if you're getting on Jeopardy. You don't get a study guide, right? But there's certain recurring categories, that history, geography, that you really want to get the basics down on, U.S. presidents, etc. So the process in terms of flying out there, we actually get there in the current season. There's COVID testing involved. Actually, that's why I had to take a break, because I couldn't pass the COVID test. And so you have to get there. You take a COVID test the day before. It's very anxiety-inducing because actually, you have no idea, a lot of times whether you have it. Sure. So you're waiting for this COVID result. So for me, it's a lot of anxiety leading up to things. And then once you get on the stage, it's incredible. Yeah.
So what has been the biggest surprise during this whole Jeopardy run for you?
I think the first surprise was just how much fun the game is. As I mentioned, I kind of like trivia. Like I said, the one reason I don't like bar trivia is I like hanging out with people and talking about things at bars. I like getting trivia questions right, but I don't like mixing those two things together. And there's, like I mentioned, I'm in a bunch of different online trivia things, actually mostly as preparation for Jeopardy, but none of those things is as fun as Jeopardy. It's just a very well designed game. And, no offense to the, trivia hosts at the local bar trivia, but it's very fun to have a professional host who's going through the questions. And I think that was the surprising thing, that I wasn't at all nervous. I think, actually, I remember distinctly having this feeling when I was there that it had been a long time since I had felt as completely myself as when I was playing Jeopardy. It's a weird thing to say, but I felt like, this game was made for me, or I was born for this game.
That's cool.
Yes, right. This is. It doesn't have the right qualities to be a vocation, right? But it's like I was made for this, right? And I think that's what I haven't been able to actually find the right language for it with my students. I talked to some of them about it a bit, which was that I hope that all my students find the kind of activity where they could feel what I felt while I was playing the game, because I said to them, I think, I do believe everybody has a gift, right? And I know I was incredibly lucky to have that kind of platform for my particular gift. And it makes me sad to think about people who have a gift that they don't ever get that, opportunity to share. So that's something that I want to kind of think about in terms of bringing this back in a way that can be helpful to my students.
You have been teaching at St. Norbert College for 10 years, and I would say probably in relative obscurity, right? I mean, it's a small college. It's I'm sure you've done some publishing and articles and such, but in a large scheme of things, small Catholic college in the Midwest. And then now in this town, your face is well known. And I would imagine at some point around the country, I mean, people around the country obviously are watching the show, but where your name could be synonymous with Ken Jennings or somebody, So, what has that been like to move almost overnight from teaching at St. Norbert to, my gosh, I walk down the street, or you go into a foundations meeting and everybody wants to take photos with you like we did last night? What's that like?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I think it's been 2 months since I taped these episodes, and I am there's a network of Jeopardy alum who connect online, right? So already, the people I taped with knew that I had this pretty remarkable run. And so we had a lot of time, had a lot of time to fantasize or also, be anxious about what might happen. And so I knew it would be a somewhat big deal around here. When I went out there, I thought I needed to represent my family well, right? I needed to kind of honor the institution of Jeopardy itself, because I think it's a great institution. And then I wanted to represent, Green Bay well. And so, I was hoping that people in Green Bay would notice.
Well, they've noticed.
They've noticed. So I'm just thrilled with that. I mean, the happiest moments are when I get comments like, I got a couple of postcards early on that said, "You're such a great representative for Green Bay. I'm happy that you're representing us," and that means a lot.
Would you say you're a little bit more introverted, and so is this kind of the celebrity status a little bit more difficult that way?
Depends. I think I'm on the cusp of those two things. There's the joke that I have kind of an alter ego called Party Ben. Right? So
we got to get to know Party Ben.
Yeah. I told one year I told my students about this guy Party Ben because I had this picture up of me in Party Ben mode, and for the rest of the semester they were like, "We need to see Party Ben," and I was like, "You guys can't handle Party Ben, so you don't know."
That's funny.
So how has this experience changed your view of people, of maybe just life in general? How has this really changed you within?
I don't know yet. Right? I think I think the term midlife crisis is overused, but I'm in my midlife, right? I'm 44, and there is, I would call it midlife boredom, honestly, right? And I think I was kind of accentuated by post-pandemic struggles, right? That a lot of our routines, a lot of actually our more social routines got disrupted. We haven't gotten back into the same patterns, me and my wife. And I don't think anybody is really doing everything the same. So you can't do, to be social, you need other people to play, right? So, so I think this experience is going to give me a way of connecting with a bunch of new people, and also, I don't know, just a way of connecting with a bunch of people that I haven't had before. And so I think it's the beginning of a new chapter for me in terms of being able to connect with other people.
This podcast is called Revealed, and so we really try to explore how do you see the sacred revealed in the ordinary experiences of your life. And so we're going to do this in two different ways. I'll take one, and then Katie maybe take another. But I would love to hear how you feel or see the sacred experienced in your teaching at St. Norbert College in terms of working with those undergrads in philosophy, theology, whatever.
Yeah, I think I tell people, actually, I mentioned I taught at Lawrence first, and then I came to St. Norbert. And Lawrence was a very easy fit for me. It's kind of very classically liberal arts, where the students are going artsy kind of liberal arts, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was a very easy fit for me as a teacher. The interests that the students have were very similar to my interests as a student. So I didn't have to change a thing in order to be a successful teacher there. At St. Norbert, the student body has a much more diverse set of interests as students than a lot of them are not like how I was as a student. Their interests are very different. And I had to change a lot as a teacher to be successful as a teacher. I think the thing that I learned there, it's all cliches, but I tell incoming teachers who I see had backgrounds like mine, who are coming to St. Norbert, that there's this old saying in teaching, I think kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Mm-hmm. That actually doesn't resonate for a lot of people who are students like me or other professors came in, because as students, if we saw that somebody knew a lot, we would care about what they said, right? And so I think it took me a while to realize that and realize why that's the case, right? Why someone might not care about what you have to say until they know that you care about them. And then my follow-up is to say, like, the easiest way to have students think you care about them is to actually care about them. It's like, you
don't fake it.
Yeah. And right, if you open yourself up to actually caring about each of your students, then you'll be a better teacher, right? So I think that's moving from just that transformation, right? It was, I think, the most salient thing. I think the sacred thing is the relationship you have with the students, right?
So on Jeopardy, preparing for Jeopardy, did you feel like any connection to the spirit, to, the sacredness in Jeopardy? How did the sacredness reveal itself through that process?
The institution of Jeopardy, to me, seems to me very important culturally, right? Because it's I think it's like, there aren't that many trusted institutions in our society anymore, and I think people trust in Jeopardy as a place that's going to get things right as a place where we recognize that there are facts, right? And I think where I saw it on the set was I was just taken by how professional everybody was, how hardworking everybody was, how committed they were to their jobs, right? And I think, what I told the crew there was just that, these things that we value, these institutions that we value don't just take care of themselves, right? And that I was just so grateful that, from the wardrobe person to the writers to the makeup people and then to the hosts, that they so clearly cared about taking care of this institution so that the things that our grandparents valued will still be around for our children. Right? I think that's something that I've thought about with St. Norbert College too, right? That conservation matters, right? We've coming out of the Silicon Valley age, maybe where there's been so much talk about innovation in every sector, including higher education. I think I have a very conservative disposition in the sense that I think preservation and maintenance is as important as innovation, and that something that you get as being part of a Catholic institution is a sense of time that maybe Americans generally don't have, right? That you're part of a longer tradition, right? And you can see that there are going to be really bad times, there are going to be really good times, but throughout those things, we have to preserve certain kinds of spaces, and to buffer against the vicissitudes of how things are going in the moment. So I think that's where I see kind of a connection between those two parts, right? The St. Norbert College, higher education, Catholic higher education, and something as seemingly pop cultural as Jeopardy.
Well, Ben, we have been absolutely thrilled to be able to sit down with you and to not only find out more about your life in terms of a philosophy professor over at St. Norbert College, but your experience on Jeopardy these last, for us, the last couple of months. And we look forward to your continuing to be an amazing part of this community. Yes, Jeopardy winner and philosophy professor, but also contributing so many other ways through Foundations Health and Wholeness and other ways as well. So we look forward to seeing on the Tournament of Champions. We look forward to seeing on the Tournament of Champions and also just seeing you around town and all these watch parties and things that are going on. It's a great celebration. It's a great time to live in Green Bay, which is just named one of the best place to live. And it's a great place to live because Ben Chan lives here. So thanks for being here, Ben.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Katie.
Well, thank you. And we'll check you on the next episode of Revealed. And now I'm going to go take my online test right now.
This has been Revealed, a podcast sponsored by Resurrection Catholic Parish in Green Bay, Wisconsin.